So in other words, she was the main funder, and suddenly she
Yes.
becomes kind of the competitor of the Joffrey Ballet.
Just sort of, yes, yes,
Or
yes.
was it the
But
same?
never really, because the Joffrey Ballet already had such a name. You know, it was already
Right.
and so excellent, and you know.
So that's when you arrive in New York, and a couple of years later, it's 1969, and it turns out that the other day I'm watching the History Channel.
It's 1969.
1969, the year of love.
Yes.
Who do I see?
Who is
Margo
there but me?
Sappington. Oh, Calcutta. Tell us about that. I mean, it's amazing. You just
Yes,
freshly arrived in New York.
It was. I left the Joffrey after 2 years, and I danced on Broadway, and I met Michael Bennett as part of that, and became his assistant. And Michael Bennett originally was involved in O Calcutta, and he was just at that moment the new up-and-comer. He was the new. It was before he started directing as well, so he was the new choreographer on the block. He was
the
going
hot
to be the
kid
new
on
Jerry
the
Robbins. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so he had many other offers. O Calcutta was a very risky thing. You know,
Very
it
risky.
was very, very risky.
Who had the idea of actually making it a naked piece?
Well, actually, most of the pieces that I was directly involved in were conceived by Jacques Levy. Jacques Levy was the director. Kenneth Tynan was the man who the London critic, he used to be a critic for the London Times. He was the one who sort of came up with the whole idea. And the reason it's called O Calcutta is because he was very fond of these erotic paintings by a French painter named Clovis Truy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know his paintings?
I know
Yes,
well.
you know of him.
I
And
know of him,
he
yeah.
one of his paintings is of an Indian woman laying on her side with her back to you, with a sari, and her bottom is exposed.
Uh-huh.
And she has 2 fleurs-de-lis painted on her cheeks. And the caption is O Calcutta, Calcutta, the play on
Of course.
O Calcutta.
Au Calcutta, which,
So-
as you all know, of course, because you all understand French, Au Calcutta means what a beautiful behind you have.
Yes, exactly. So and the funny part of O Cal, so to go on with the story, so Michael came to me in the dressing room and he said, Margo, you have to come and help me with this piece. They want all actors, and I have to have a dancer. Oh, and you have to audition and be in the show because I have to have a dancer in the show. Oh, and you have to be naked, but you don't care who walks in the dressing room anyway, so it will be a problem for you.
Just like
So
that. He
just
says,
like
oh,
that.
oh, by the way,
I
you
said,
have to be
okay,
naked, but
all right.
it's just a
Okay,
side
let's
note.
go. So we go. I was 21, so we go down, and we have, you know, I lead some auditions, and we have some things, and then I
So you
audition
already
for
have
the
the
show.
theater booked, and
So it was, you know, really the very first workshop. It was very, we rehearsed for 3 months.
It
first
was
of all.
still sketchy.
It was not 5 weeks and the show goes on. We had a big book. We had many sketches that we had to throw out. You know,
Yeah.
there were many submissions, and so at any rate, I auditioned for the show. I got in the show, and then Michael pulled out. He decided he wouldn't. Did not want to be involved. And I
Oh, he
think
didn't want.
Yeah. So
it was too risque,
it was,
you mean?
It wasn't on Broadway to begin with. It was off Broadway. It was the Eden Theater on 2nd Avenue and 12th Street. So they asked him for a recommendation, and he said, Margo, let Margo do it. Margo can do it. And so I talked to the director, and off we went, and we did it. And that was that.
How many dancers were on stage for that?
Just me. I mean, there were 10 members of the cast, but most of them were actors. The man that danced with me actually was an actor who was the best partner I've ever had.
Was he?
He had an instinctual. It just shows you that partnering is such an instinctual thing. It's not just something you learn. You can learn to be better, but and the instinct to actually be able to support someone else's weight or to synchronize with their body is.
Do you feel that as a choreographer?
Yes.
When you look at dancers, do you feel that they can be a good match or not?
I have to touch them.
You have to touch them.
Yes.
You have to feel them.
I have to feel them. It's a reaction.
It's like Play-Doh, I guess, right?
It's like Play-Doh. Yeah.
Play-Doh with the brain.
That's right.
Play-Doh with the brain.
And how they can counteract your weight and all that kind of thing. It's very important.
So, but it clicked with that guy.
It clicked incredibly, and it was absolutely wonderful.
How long was the run?
Well, it ran until actually in one incarnation or another until 1989.
Until 89.
Yes.
Did you get residuals out of that?
No. No, it's
You
just
guys,
bad
boys.
Bad boys.
Think of Margo.
Yes, it's like the Rocky Horror Show. You know, they never got residual. Look how
They
that
never
still
got
goes on.
residual?
Yes, no, we didn't. We in those days there was the Stage Directors and Choreographers Union had just begun.
Right.
And they had no law, no bylaw that protected you from a producer who said, "Oh, come on, guys, let's keep the show open.
Yeah.
Won't you waive your royalty this week? And how about
Right.
next week? And how about for the rest of your life?"
Yeah, let's be cool.
Yes,
Let's
so-
do it for art's sake.
Yes, and so we all got screwed. I got screwed. The director got screwed.
Yeah.
The musicians got screwed. The writers got screwed. Everybody got screwed.
But actually, talking about the producer, Margot, I'm curious to what kind of person would put money behind such a project at the time, because it was very risky. 10 people, the cast, and the theater.
Yes, and it was the first legitimate naked show. I mean,
And
there was
the
a
first
very
le-
first legitimate where there was full frontal nudity. With people moving on stage, because if you remember in Hair, they didn't move. They just stood up in semi-darkness and all stood still and froze.
Which show?
Hair.
In Hair.
Yes.
Oh, they're
They stood up in protest. There's a part in the show, there's a tarp on stage. They all get underneath the tarp. They take off their clothes and they stand up, but they don't move.
They don't move.
And it's very dark. You
And
have
the
to
light
squint
is
to
very.
see
Oh
them.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, it's really. It's like, is that a boy or girl?
Is that a
something?
boy or girl? What's
Oh,
good?
really? Okay. No,
It's a
this
lot of
one was
hair.
really like full light and this and
Yes,
that.
yes,
But
and dancing, and so there was an issue with the police, of course. The producer went to the police and invited the commissioner to come and see some rehearsals and see what was going on when we got in the theater, and that it wasn't pornography.
It was not pornography.
And so there was that issue. We did get arrested in Los Angeles.
in LA.
Yes, in LA.
I would have thought that LA would be more
No. In
open
fact,
than New York.
No, that we actually turned ourselves in anticipation of something happening, because we knew that something would happen, and then they came again after the show opened. I remember, the first thing that we would do when we go into the theater was take off our clothes, because you don't want to have sock marks.
Right. Of course.
You have the mark around your waist where your belt was, or your elastic
Yes.
pants or something. So I was sitting in my dressing room doing my makeup, doing my hair, and I look in the mirror, and behind me is a police officer.